Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the video that we watched and the book that it talks about. In modern society, we often associate the concept of propaganda with authoritarian regimes, or at least the video says so, where the government tightly controls the narrative and restricts the flow of information. Meanwhile, it says that terms like press freedom are generally linked with democratic nations like the United States and France, where the media is believed to act as kind of a watchdog where it holds the political powers accountable and informs the public. But what if that belief isn't entirely accurate? Well, in 1988, Noam Chomsky and Edward Herman co-authored a book titled Manufacturing Consent, and this book challenges the commonly held belief that the media serves to keep political powers in check and protect the public's right to know. Instead, Chomsky and Herman argued that the media acts as a propaganda machine, and it serves the interests of those in power rather than the public. So how does this happen? Well, according to Manufacturing Consent, the media operates through 5 filters that determine the information that we see and hear. So let's go through those filters. The first one of these filters is the ownership of the media. The media companies are no longer small, independent entities. Instead, they're owned by large corporations whose primary goal is to maximize profits. This means that the content that we consume is often shaped by the interests of these corporate owners. For example, when a major media outlet is owned by a company with significant investments in something like fossil fuels, it's unlikely that this outlet is going to give extensive coverage to climate change issues or something that might harm the company's bottom line. The second filter is advertising money. Now, media outlets aren't just selling content to their viewers. The video also says that they're selling viewers to their advertisers. Now, the need to attract advertisers can influence which stories get covered and how they're presented. For instance, news organizations might shy away from stories that could alienate major advertisers, like pharmaceutical companies or car manufacturers, even if those stories are in the public's best interests. The third filter that the video goes over is the media elite. Now, governments, corporations, and other powerful entities know how to play the media game. They have the resources and connections to make themselves indispensable to the news process. Press releases, official statements, and exclusive interviews are often handed out to journalists who, in turn, rely on these sources to fill their content. But this close relationship means that the media often ends up echoing the voices of the powerful rather than challenging them. Consider how during wartime news outlets frequently report government narratives without much critical analysis, essentially becoming mouthpieces for state propaganda. The fourth filter is flack. Now, when media publishes stories that challenge powerful interests, those in power can often respond with intense criticism or attempts to discredit the story. And now this flack can come in forms of legal threats, public relations campaigns, or direct attacks on journalism. A recent example would be how whistleblowers like Edward Snowden face significant backlash for exposing government surveillance programs. Rather than sparking a broad debate about privacy rights, much of the media coverage focused on questioning Snowden's character and motives, distracting from the core issue. Finally, the fifth filter is the common enemy. Now, throughout history, governments and media have often used the common enemy to unite the public opinion and suppress dissent. Whether it's communism during the Cold War, terrorism after 9/11, or more recently, political rivals labeled as threats to democracy, these boogeymen, or so the video calls them, are used to rally the public around certain agendas. This tactic simplifies complex issues and discourages critical thinking, as people are pushed to choose sides rather than question the underlying narratives. Chomsky and Herman's work in Manufacturing Consent is a reminder that the media, even in democratic societies, can be manipulated to serve the interests of the powerful. In the age of where information is more accessible than ever, we need to be more critical of the sources we rely on and the narratives that are being pushed. Ultimately, the media isn't about informing the public, it's about controlling the narrative. And while we may not live under an authoritarian regime, we should remain vigilant and ensure our media doesn't become a subtle form of propaganda. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.